So today you get to hear about one of Sam's most memorable misfortunes, and for the sake of proof, I have the actual Facebook posts for you to read. There's a few more injuries afterward, so make sure you've got time for this shit.
Is it presently going or something like that?
Yep.
Okay, whatever. Alright, so basically what I remember of the incident when I swung it is first I hear the sound of essentially a phone book being ripped in half. It took me a long time to kind of distill it down, but if you put 3 pieces of paper together and just rip that shit with all your strength, that's what it sounds like when you get cut really deeply. So the first thing I saw when I looked at my leg was yellow. That's when I knew I was fucked. Because I had cut my leg far enough down that it got into my adipose tissue and fat of my knee. It was really disturbing for the couple seconds I looked into it before I realized I really fucked up bad, because you could see the bubbles of fat come off the fat layer and hit the ground. So I was holding my knee together, and my first thought was, okay, how am I going to limp out of the house without mom and dad finding out? I'm gonna be honest. I would if I even managed that feat, if I even managed to make it that far. I really wanted to know what my face was looking like when I got outside. I was like, wait, how am I gonna drive my car? It didn't matter, because the sound of my leg ripping open was so loud. My mom heard it downstairs cooking. She stops, comes up, and goes like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "No." So thank God my dad was there, because I think my mom had to drive me with my knee in that shape, I don't think she would have ever forgiven me on some level. But my dad was like, "You're a fucking idiot. Let's go."
Yeah.
Yeah. So funnily enough, I was not in a lot of pain. My fear was that I wouldn't walk on it. But at the time, I tended to be pretty good during emergencies. So we get to the emergency room, and I am in so little pain that I am making puns. I'm talking about how my parents must be sitting on the edge of their seat, and how I wasn't very sharp, but the thing that cut my knee open was. And it made the surgeon that was trying to take care of my knee start laughing with tools in his hands when my parents told me to shut the fuck up and let him do his job. Excuse me. His job. But what hurt a lot was getting that area numbed. That burns like molten mercury going through your veins. It's fucking agony. And they had to do multiple areas because of the wide surface area of the cut. So that hurt worse than getting my knee cut open. Wasn't laughing at that point. I hate needles too, also, which is a thing I like. And multiple stabs in the knees, no picnic. That would be the end of the story if it wasn't for the fact that the following week I went to a baseball game, and there's cramped ass seats and a cramped ass car, and one of my stitches popped. I went to my family doctor because my leg was doing the stuff. It was doing the thing where the wound itself pulses a little bit, and you're like, that's not good.
Yeah.
So I went in there, and he's like, yeah, you did this and this, and you're an idiot. You should have never gone to a baseball game. Are you fucking crazy? And he's like, let me get you on that cramped ass seat, and you're like, this is gonna go great. And I'm like, yeah, that's literally what I was thinking. And he's like, well, you were wrong. So the way you treat that is you reopen the wound a little bit, and you put your thumb on your vein, on the thing there, and you just push it along. And what came out of my leg was like the texture of if you ground up a crayon. That, except it was all clotted blood. And at the other end of it was an air bubble, and it went. So if that gets up to your heart, you die. So anyway, so that's the story. That's what happened. Before that, though, now that I think about it, I've also been bitten by a recluse spider twice in my life. The first one went for 2.5 weeks before I caught it, so it was bad. That one was fun.
And where did you get bit?
On my ass. I had a second asshole for about 3 weeks. No, it's on my ass cheek on the other side, and it's because I fell asleep at a farmhouse, and there was no bed, so I fell asleep on the couch. And spiders love cool, dark places, like my ass. So that one, I didn't know what happened. It was just like I got a bruise on my ass, and now it's swelling. That's not good. Now it hurts like hell. And during that last week, it was so incredibly fucking bad that I couldn't sit down, nor could I wear pants, because it hurt too bad. But I wore pants anyway, so I just had to deal with it. So, and I was in so much pain, I thought the only way I could continue living is if I alleviate the pressure somehow, because I was dumb and in a lot of pain. So I took a knife and I tried poking a hole in it, only, you know, how you had that thing in your head where you're like, you can't actually stab yourself, something holds you back, that sort of situation. But what ended up happening is I accidentally poked a little bit, not enough to alleviate pressure, but enough to get for the wound to get infected on the outside too. Eventually we were just like, yeah, we're going to an urgent care. This is bad. This is really fucking bad. I get in the car, and when I close the door, when I close the fucking door, it slams the car door on the wound, and I almost pass out. It's like one of those things where you hit yourself in the balls and you're laughing at it, at how absurd the situation you're in is at, but you're in so much pain that air isn't coming out of your lungs, so you just go, and my dad thought I was dying. So we get there, they take one look at it and like, you were bit by a recluse spider. And I'm like, really? How do you know that? He's like, we have photographs of other people that are bit by recluse spiders. They're dead now. We're going to open this up for you. And with that one, they also used a local anesthetic on that one, and that hurt like a bitch. But honestly, that one easily overmatched by how much pain that was in. Then they cut it open, right? Wash it out, drain out the inside. I had effectively a bullet hole in my ass that was 4 inches deep, thereabouts, and a dime around of a hole. That was just, it was all filled with decayed tissue. And when you cleaned it out, it was solid. You could have stuck your thumb into my asshole. Excuse me. My new asshole. In the side of my butt cheek. And that was a good bit of, oh, fucking, I hate I was like, it was awful I went to my karate class and I couldn't do much naturally, but they called me Spider-Man for, even to this day, actually, now that I think about it, they still call me that. I know it was just, but the fear that everyone had was that it was going to close up sideways instead of outwards, so you have to take constant baths. That keeps the tissue on the inside of that hole moistened, so it heals in almost like a corkscrew fashion outwards.
Yeah.
Because if it closes, you'll have a hole inside of you forever, and they have to reopen that up because you can't have air trapped in your body for any reason. So it was just living in the next 2 weeks I spent living out of a shower eating pizza, which leads to another funny story that I'm going to save for another time because that's a different bit. What
about the other recluse spider bite?
Yeah, tell about the second time.
Well, that one isn't as bad. That one's better in the beginning than it is in the end, because in the beginning of it, it's just like I wake up and there is a bruise on the inside of my thigh that has a tiny pinprick, and it's on about 2 inches from my balls. And I'm like, if that's a fucking recluse spider bite, I'm picking up a flamethrower and I'm burning down Kentucky. And I'm just like, I am. And like 2 days later, it was like...
Was that after the first bite?
Yes.
Okay.
That was about 1.5 years after the first bite. And guess what? I fell asleep on that same fucking couch. And after this,
burn the couch.
After this, I told them, get rid of your fucking couch. It's... Ugh. So I was at work, and I looked down, and it like had a little... The wound on the center of it hadn't gone away, and the inside of it had turned like a little, like... I don't know, it had turned like brown. That's usually what it is when it emits a brown liquid. That's when it, like, the pus coming out of it is brown. When that's the case, I was like, recluse spider bite. Immediately went to the place, and they were like, yeah, wow, you caught it real early. He's like, I've been bit before. And they're like, how have you been bit? They're just like, wherever you're going, don't go there ever again. I'll be like, never going there. So it was early enough that they didn't even have to cut it open. They just gave me antibiotics, and in 3 days I was fine.
Yeah.
It was just like, boom, yeah. I mean, it's not like a snake bite. My phone just died.
All right.
Fucking Kentucky!
Anyway, the worst injury I had was when my car got ran over by a foot.
Paul Bunyan just came sprinting out of nowhere. And I knew I was either going to get out of this car or I was going to die.
My foot got ran over by a car. Okay, my foot got ran over by a car because I was like 8 years old and my brothers were going to a friend's house without me, and I was like, hey, take me with you. And I took Yu-Gi-Oh cards for some reason.
Yes!
And when I got to the house, my brothers told me, what are you doing here, Josh? Go home. I'm like, but fine. I walked home. And I was looking at Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I was walking, and I looked both ways on the street. I don't hear a car coming. I don't see any cars coming. I'll cross the street. And I was looking down at the Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I crossed the street. I put out my right foot and just car right over it. And they just like skidded to a stop in the middle of the intersection. It was just a small car, but I couldn't see around the truck.
Ouch.
After that, it was a bit hazy.
Often people tend to forget the moments after an immense injury because your body starts prioritizing different functions.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's like, oh yeah, the first thing that goes is like memory.
Yeah. I do distinctly remember people crowding around me, and I was like, no, I'm fine. I tried to stand up, and I just fell down again. And then when the ambulance came and they tried to put an oxygen mask on me, I was like, wait, am I gonna die? No, I don't need an oxygen mask. I'm fine. I again tried to take it off. I was like,
so yeah. What happened to your Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Do you guys remember the old Pokemon commercial? That's like a school bus driver, and he drives like a school bus full of Pokemon to a junkyard and puts them in the crusher, and it just crushes all the Pokemon, and they just start screaming, and they just it's the Game Boy capsule. They're all there. That commercial scared the shit out of me. He's like, yes, die.